on the Azir once they've switched it all around, and squishiness is going to be the aim of the game here. And we'll see how Root's going to be building.
Well, we'll see what he has coming into this game. I think Pyosik is not going to let us down. Well, he did. He picked up Flash.
Oh, my goodness.
And Pyosik, definitely someone who likes to
this is obviously
reposition and get the plays going. So that does make sense for the type of player that he is.
Yeah, I think this is obviously Graves without the cigar. Because if he had the cigar, that's what he uses to ignite his foe.
Oh, really?
So Malrang definitely had the cigar yesterday. Pyosik, no cigar for him. Just going to be flashing around. You get a bit more maneuverability because you don't have to focus on the fact that you have a thing hanging out of your mouth. As Summit not going to find the shock blast there onto Doran, who's going to sidestep it. Some pings going out, but nothing early and aggressive so far. As Pyosik just checking things out, seeing what's going on. Shock blast was invisible to me. Was that invisible to you too?
That happens sometimes when the terrain, into the jungles especially, but out of the river mostly, is it goes up into the land, you can see. And
oh, right,
a lot
so
of
it just goes through the land.
Yeah, a lot of the particles get lost. Like, we were seeing Jin yesterday. His Deadly Flourish would just not show.
Yep.
As it's, like, in the ground, and it doesn't scale up. And Shock Blast, I mean, you name it. All the projectiles kind of disappear. So, Riot, if we can get on that, that would be nice.
The topography is topographic. Sorry, the spaghetti is topographically challenged. That's what we're going to say.
Okay. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, I almost nailed it. As Root and Gorilla just going to try and lane this one out and should be pretty happy. But we're putting down a bunch of soil and seeing whether DRX can get the shove. So Doran gets a very nice stun and collects that CS at the same time. Love efficiency.
Yeah, the Aurelia is really interesting. How we're seeing it more often now with Closer coming in. I mean, it's not because he came in, obviously, but it's kind of funny that it does line up that way. But
He was also, buffed.
Yeah.
On the Patcherino, but you're right. It's poignant. And I do like that it feels like Closer's also been patched in, as he's going to be pretty required to try and save T1. Not going to be playing here today, but I believe we'll be seeing them again soon.
Is Chovy going to take his first loss on Azir? 8-0. Pretty decent. That stun was way off by Doran, actually. And for some reason, he looks like he's the bully here in this lane. As Summit's not really able to get too much value. And now the big pushing coming in.
Yeah, gets booped back by the hammer, but you're right. It's a big minion wave. Doran secures all of the creeps. Of course, the reason why Summit can't go aggressive is because creep damage is a thing. But he's going to be able to pick up most of them underneath this turret. Doran goes for a cheetah recall.
Ooh, what is going on?
Well, Fate's taking a lot of damage. That's what's going on here as Chovy at max health. And Fate down to 200. But we expected the Azir to have shove. Just a little bit better at killing these minions over and over again with all of his Sand Soldier friends. And he's taken the Electrocute in this lane as well. We've seen this a little bit more from Chovy especially.
Oh boy. It feels like every lane is just getting dominated by the DRX side. Mid lane, Fate's getting poked out here really effectively. On Fleek, I feel like he's scrambling a little bit to try to help out. And the answer's going to be he's going to come in here to try to push the lane with the Redemption and try to get a good back for Fate, who maybe doesn't want to use that teleport, but might have to against the Azir. I feel like we have to do LS, actually.
Right. Yeah, Chovy going to be taken down to just under half. Pyosik is here in the area. We'll see whether he hops over the wall as Summit continues to lose trades against the newly buffed Aurelia. On Fleek's going to find the Q onto Pyosik, puts down the smoke screen. May have to flash and does so, but the bubble will connect the phase rush. Makes this guy so damn fast. He is going to be able to get out of there just fine.
I think it's phase rush Nimbus Cloak too.
Yeah.
So it's like after the flash, he just runs away like he's Zoe or something. That rune is so broken. If we can,
I think it's the ultra.
Switch that up, please.
It's the ultra movement speed sorcery style, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Set likes to take as well. That Pyosik's gone for here. So yeah, he's running pretty quick.
There's a lot of engaged champions that are big fans of that combo. And Doran, you could see in the top side with the cheetah recall, he didn't actually pull the waves into him, which is something that LS always talks about, because after you push and cheater, it's inevitably going to push into you because of the way the minions are going to interact with the turret. And looks like he's going to go for another little mini cheater as he's just going to run up to the top side. He's saving his teleport to make sure that he keeps the pressure on up in the top side. Not trying to interact with Pyosik and look for ganks, actually. He's trying to put on as much pressure as possible instead and let Pyosik just, you know, free farm the jungle and not have to worry about it.
Well, that's going to be a bubble connecting there onto Chovy, but he shifts the sands. He gets away. Everything's fine. And yeah, that wave just about to crash, but Doran's going to be able to get there and pick it up. No boots just yet, so these cheater recalls are going to get even better when the obvious Ninja Tabi comes in pretty quickly. It's what that cloth armor's looking for. Has a few battle stats, but I like the style that Doran has taken. As you can see, Summit, he's gone back as well. He's got a whole bunch of swords. Just as many swords as possible is generally the aim of the game here.
I don't know how you fit that many swords in your inventory.
And then how do you use them with a hammer that turns into a gun? I don't understand. Does he shoot swords?
It's
magical.
It
ammo?
It's magical.
Interesting.
It makes his bullets, it augments his bullets to make them sharp, actually. From the gun. Yeah, that's the way it works.
I like it. Well, Defton Carrier, like, they shouldn't be winning this lane this hard, I don't think, in my personal opinion, as Chovy might need to press E to get out of the way of this one, but not going to, as OnFleek. He's going to turn around.
Yeah. OnFleek's just being really annoying, you know? He's not getting any effective kills or summoners out of the laners, but he's just non-stop being a thorn in the side for Chovy. And honestly, I don't think that Chovy really cares, you know?
No, he seems to be doing just fine as Pyosik is going to get that magical journey out of Gorilla. OnFleek lands the Q, but doesn't want to go aggressive onto the Graves. As we are fighting over this dragon that just doesn't know who to breathe fire on at this point in time. The Ignite goes down onto Pyosik, but he's going to keep himself alive with the Smite. Also kills the Lee Sin with his collateral damage, and Swag walks his way out. Def now looking for Root here. The arrow on cooldown. And, oh dear. Binding's great from Gorilla, however. As yeah, we've got 1-for-1s. As I believe Doran tried to dive, gets the flash out of Summit, and has his teleport. So 100% a win there for the Aurelia, even though they went 1-for-1.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talk to talk about in that top side, but Carry is just smurfing down here in the bottom lane. He nearly killed Gorilla. That's the Carry I like to watch, as he's on his 19th unique pick, just casually owning the lane.
Yeah, Puddle Danger over here. As he's got an amp tone. That's why it looked like it did so much damage. As we're going to have a look at this one once again. There's OnFleek standing in the back of the pit, wondering whether he needs to get out or whether he wants to go for the Smite fight. But Def nails the arrow. And Pyosik accidentally kills the Lee Sin, securing the Drake.
Yeah, I think he also smited early, but here's this breakdown. You can see Doran just non-stop pushing. And he's going to go for the stun into ultimate, gets the flash out, and it's just a big skirmish that Aurelia is going to win. That cannon is going to be annoying, but I believe that at the end of the day, because Summit didn't have teleport.
Shock Blast avoided, but that's a big minion wave. Now Summit trying to get past here. Gorilla's going to turn up, has to flash. That's the advantage that Doran had, and that's why he's able to go aggressive. Now, not going to be as safe.
Yeah, lots of action up there on the top side as Gorilla's trying to be, you know, Carrier/Barrel. A couple of supports that love to roam, especially Barrel, in that term, as Doran just non-stop pushing here. He's going to see with this ward that is very tricky, actually. It's right outside of the range of that control ward in the brush. As here comes DRX now looking for a fight.
Yep, Chovy going to move on over as Fate. Just trying to be bodyguard. Teleport in from the Aurelia is now Chovy going aggressive onto Fate. Doesn't find the Emperor's Divide. It's now Doran with a black shield. Going aggressive onto the Bud. Oh, the binding was beautiful. Fate finds the decent paddle star there onto Pyosik, but he should have the quick draw to get himself out of the way. Chovy going to eat that bubble. As now Pyosik going to get kicked back, and SANDBOX just going to go for a disengage. Not even sure who managed to pick up Shelly there, as that's a decent stun onto Summit to stop any aggression onto Doran, and it was OnFleek that secured Shelly.
Yeah, he had to flash to get in and get out. As you can see, that was the obvious play by SANDBOX. As, okay, we're just trading summoners for ults here, no big deal. Down in the bottom side as Deft is casually 30 CS ahead. You know, just another thing that we have to mention.
Feeling a little bit like obliteration here as Summit Does find some accelerated shots there on Doran. A couple of plates here, taken down by DRX, and they've moved to almost a 3,000 gold lead somehow at 10 minutes into the game. This lane kingdom that they have going on is just immense.
Yeah. The Vampiric Scepter is only going to delay this build even more. I mean, this Caitlyn is going to take years to come online.
Yeah.
Take a look at Deft, who's just casually going to be getting so much value
oh my God.
on this Ashe.
He also has almost Essence Reaver completed.
Yeah.
He's going for, like, the I'm going to throw as many arrows at you as possible build.
He got another plate, too.
Oh my God.
Guy's rich. He's more rich than rich. It's in our league.
Yeah, Rich wasn't very rich.
Yeah, quite poor, unfortunately.
Deft may have taken his title as well. As I remember, Essence Reaper, I mean, that means that you can endlessly volley in lane as well. If this laning phase is going to continue, and it gets even rougher. Oh dear. Well, goes back. We'll see whether the Essence Reaper is now going to be completed. And it is. So there we go. Deft with a lot of TDR. And no more mana issues, really.
Yeah. And Bard, I feel like, as a champion... Oh, we got another trade here. Not going to go in on this one, even though he did have a lot of minions and he's up a level. No flash. Didn't want to take the chance, as there's more and more items coming in here for the Jace. But the Bard, I feel like, definitely feels a bit better when you're ahead, and you can make aggressive plays. But even from ahead, he's going up against the Morgana, so it's not going to be the easiest Bard game here for Gorilla. You can see he was trying to get active, move around the map, try to go up to the top side for the Rift Herald play, maybe look for a gank, but in the lane, he's just not really going to have a great time, and this is why Keria and Deft are just getting so far ahead, and are looking for the entire turret now.
That might actually just go down here, as there's the hammerback onto Doran, getting underneath the turret here. Good empowered shock blast. So very close to having either a Ghost Blade or a Dust Blade completed.
No flash here.
And on fleek, yeah, Vanguard's Edge is going to land. It's a decent Q, but it's not good. Sorry, W, but it's not going to be enough. Secured by on fleek as Purshik's going to turn up. End of the line comes in, aptly named. Collateral damage goes entirely wide. Now Purshik's trying to slow Summit down, but he doesn't have a red buff, doesn't have too many options. Quick drawing after. There's the flash follow, and one more auto attack will do it. Minion wave not quite there in time to save Summit, and it will be a 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, Purshik at least able to trade back the kill that did go down onto Doran, so there is that. Meanwhile, we're actually going to get a lot of value here in the mid lane for the Zoe, as on fleek getting zoned out here by Keria.
Okay. That was a Soul Shackles, as Black Shield comes in. That's going to eat the bubble. Fate sidestepping the Dark Binding, and Deft took down the turret. So Deft is like just gigantic at this point in time.
Yeah. He's got the same farm as Chovy, but Chovy doesn't have 5 turret plates.
Yeah, exactly. And solo first brick.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he is so strong. And this is also going to be an even bigger power spike for the Ashe when it comes to the amount of damage you can do in a short period of time. You know, if you've got the Runaan's Hurricane and the Blade of the Ruin King, then yes, you do a lot of team fight damage, you do a lot of AoE, and you do have a lot of sustain. But if you go like something like IE Essence Reaver, you just do a lot of damage real fast. Excited to see how that one's going to go. Of course, with having the Frost Shot or your Q having the auto reset, as Doran's going to jump back onto Summit there, but they know that there's a few too many people. Not going to be able to find the bubble damage, but
what?
Tattlestar's big on the area there.
That was a large Tattlestar. Had a big head, that one. Somehow was able to connect onto Keria, even though it looked like it was a big hitbox. And the Black Shield is just going to be so crazy up against this team. You're not going to be able to get kicked, knocked back. You're not going to get stunned by the Bard. Tempered Fate, obviously, we mentioned that before. Take a look at this dodge, actually. Goes around the ultimate.
받았긴 했거든.
Doesn't take any damage
아저씨
from that.
빼야 돼 우리. 나 죽었다.
I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead.
잠깐만 얘가 이상하긴 하긴 했거든.
Looks like
야 그냥 미드 친
played
것도
kind of
나쁘지 않아 보여.
strangely. Let's use the Rift Herald mid. So on fleek, very present, I would say. It's like as the situation changes, always reacting to it. Summit, unfortunately, gets flashed on there, not able to survive for the trade back kill.
Yep, means that flash advantage exists for Doran there on the top side. See what he's going to build into here. Looks like Blade of the Ruin King first for the Aurelia, but we saw a Trinity Force-less Aurelia yesterday. We'll see whether that continues here today. Doran's looking to go down a similar route. Yoshik moving on over, wants to be able to steal this guy away, and is going to easily do so. He has Smite. Fate does not, as Arrow... Oh, hitbox! Ladies and gentlemen, is certainly a thing, as that is a very dead Zoe. After securing that one with volley. Now 4-2 is the kill score for DRX, close to moving towards a 5,000 gold lead, actually. SANDBOX moving to the mid lane, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to lock this one down. Tempered Fate avoided by everyone. Collateral damage, actually, by Pyoshik. Gets a bit of damage, also moves him out of the way. And DRX, no worries there. 2.5 minutes on this Mountain Drake. That will be sole point for DRX, as they've been casually picking up as many of the dragons as they want. And out of turret top lane falls down to confirm close to that 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah. If Grill's going to be playing the Bard, he's got to be hitting these Tempered Fates onto a couple of guys that are not looking to flash. As Bard, Caitlyn is actually quite strong. You can get the really nice trap follow-up, and they had Lee Sin Jace with them as well. So you would imagine the amount of burst damage onto Deft could have been extraordinary if they could hold him in place with the traps. But, you know, with no Black Shield, with nothing used, you got to be able to hit those Tempered Fates. Otherwise, you know, maybe go for something a little bit more comfortable like the Nautilus.
Yeah.
We might see in game number 2. But,
or the Tom Kench.
Yeah.
This is Gorilla's way.
Those are the two.
Yep.
The two that he plays very effectively nowadays here in the LCK.
It's a bit sad seeing a double range matchup involving Caitlyn lose, though. It just feels like a thing that shouldn't happen. We're going to have a look at this kill. The arrow somehow connects.
여기 잡아.
Get him.
Got it. Good.
예.
All right.
그거 여기. 야, 이씨구. 나 죽었다.
I'm dead.
죽은 거 같아.
I think I'm dead.
근데 그냥
I assume he said hitbox.
Maybe. Meanwhile, that hitbox on the accelerated shock blast, for some reason,
I mean,
wasn't big enough to land.
At least the accelerated shock blast is like a gigantic orb. That should be landing, so if that one does connect, then we're going to be completely okay with it. The arrow, a little bit different, but maybe
it missed. That's why I was like, what?
Oh, right, yeah.
Even though it was like right next to Caria. Yeah. Well, they're going to try to fight here over the Mountain Drake, and yeah, you really don't want to be giving Mountain Drakes over to the side of DRX here. And they already have a bunch. But you're down 5,000 gold. It's not going to feel too good, but they do feel forced into fighting before they get too much value. And they do have a nice amount of poke. It's something that we do have to remember as Din goes on fleek.
Out he goes again, as he doesn't really want to stay. Proud recall there from Shirley, swirling around the graves. He's going to get home. Carrier, very, very low. SANDBOX is going to reclaim some control. They do have a lot of poke. Even Caitlyn with a lot of poke options. DRX moving in, try and find some form of engage. Doran over to the side. Pyoshik, he's going to turn up pretty soon as well.
It's crazy how Pyoshik with the empowered recall is actually using it to such a great effective advantage here, because SANDBOX took so long to come in because of this that here comes the fight.
Yeah, collateral damage does a hell of a lot as Fate. He's going to have to go home. Gets the same treatment that he gave to Carrier, to be honest. And so now DRX is going to pull out the Dragon, and it looks like SANDBOX are going to give this one away. The pressure is just so damn high coming out of DRX. However, SANDBOX have been able to close the gap just a little when it comes to gold. Being able to eat through a few more of these minion waves is the top wave, not one that they're able to eat through. Checking out the gold, it is Summit that's ahead of Doran by just a little bit when it comes to the SANDBOX players, but otherwise it's all about DRX. This Ashe, especially.
2,000 gold ahead. It's not pretty massive. It's about half an item, more than half an item. And yeah, he's already on 2 items here as well, compared to the 1 and Vampiric Scepter from the Caitlyn. And this is of course, the power trough that everybody loves to talk about with the Caitlyn. She's going to need a lot more time to pick up a couple more items before she's really oppressive And this is a moment where 2-item Ashe and the amount of pick and engage that DRX have, not to mention the insane burst damage they have. From, you know, you would imagine, obviously, Graves, Azir, Aurelia, but even Morgana is going to help with that, you know? She's going support, but, I mean, she's got some upfront decent damage with the binding, and if you catch one person, they're probably dead on the side as, wow, that was a sick steal.
His collateral damages have been pretty damn good this game. As Def's going to move up, and we're going to deny Shirley, because you can as Bard. But that binding is going to connect onto OnFleek, takes a lot of damage as Def trying to throw through these volleys. Koshik over the wall, and Shirley's still in here, getting some work done. Root and Gorilla taking some damage still, but otherwise, not the end of the world. Hawk shots fly down. DRX with all the information, but they still walk into that one. Ardent Sensor completed. I think that might have something to do with why Def has gone for this particular item build, as the Vanguard's Edge goes entirely wide. They're still able to lock down the turret just fine.
Yeah, that was confusing up against the Lee Sin that you know he's got a safeguard up. Probably don't want to just randomly throw out your abilities and your flash to try to lock down a Lee Sin. As OnFleek just skirts away. Dorian getting a little bit excited, perhaps wants to show off the Aurelia and say, well, yeah, it's viable. Well, didn't actually help out with that play.
Not quite. Looks like Dorian might be building towards Black Cleaver on the Aurelia. Interesting, especially with how good Trinity Force is. I'd have to have a chat to LS about this one. Wanting to buff Koshik and Def damage, I guess. You certainly can get a decent amount of stacks pretty early if you land Vanguard's Edge and your stun on a couple of people. That Arrow's going to connect. Root once again going to trade his cleanse for it. We're going to be moving on back. Def and Carry have just absolutely dominated this game so far.
Yeah, there's really no contest. I mean, they're one of the best bottom lanes right now in the LCK, if not the best. I mean, they're definitely up there. And going up against Root and Gorilla, unfortunately, who are a little bit unmatched. And I love how Deft is just constantly throwing out his...
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a sweet Baruni.
Yeah, Chovy's not had his best day so far.
Still going to get a 9th win, though, most likely.
Yeah.
On his Azir.
I think that's the 3rd one that he's missed when it comes to the scoops. Summit didn't even have to flash.
I want to point out something. If you look at the Enchanted Crystal Arrow cooldown, it's about to come off cooldown. And then you take a look at the cleanse on Root.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's about maybe 1/3. We're getting close to that, whereas the Arrow is now off cooldown. So, especially as the game comes along and people start to pick up stuff like cleanses and Mikhails and all this stuff that makes it very annoying for Ashe, you want to just be throwing it out as much as possible, looking to take trades.
And that's why Essence Reaver's so good, right?
Yeah, another good reason. Makes that Ashe just very present and annoying for the enemy team in the game, as SANDBOX might just make their final stand at this Mountain Drake.
Well, there's the Tempered Fate. Chovy avoids it, and then shifts some sands to get out of the way. A magical journey, though, here for SANDBOX.
Okay, well...
As Chovy just walks casually out of the way. That's how you deal with it. Hawk shot to spot exactly where they're going, and oh no. In goes Carrier, looks for the ulti. Doesn't really connect too much, though, as Dorian gets into the backline. Koshik gonna clean up the Bard so quickly, and unfortunately, SANDBOX couldn't find their way out. The Dark Binding barely avoided by Summit, who is gonna take a volley to the face, but otherwise will escape, but not with enough, as DRX should be able to get Mountain Soul off the back of this one.
You can see Summit and OnFleek, they're waiting. Maybe someone's going to face check. Perhaps. They have a lot of burst damage themselves, but DRX are going to play it safe. And standard OnFleek may look for a steal here. Although Dorian is on vision, notices that. He's going to go away now. As there you go, Mountain Soul will be given over to DRX. And, I mean, SANDBOX is pretty unfortunate. I mean, they're not, you know, they're trying to make these final stands, but 2 times in a row now, it's like the first time they just got immediately poked out. And then the second time, Root is just alone in mid lane. Like, you can't be alone there. I understand you're trying to push back the wave, but with the amount of pick, like, you can't stand here. Yeah, I don't, like, there's nothing else to say. You can't be there. The rest of your team is in the enemy jungle, right? Like, that's not, you know, that's just a big mistake from Root, unfortunately. I think even with Root, they probably still would have lost the fight, unfortunately, as DRX are massively ahead, as is highlighted by this fight.
It's also exactly what this DRX squad was trying to do, right? That's why, like, Def just throws an arrow at Root's face, gets the cleanse, and says, well, give me a few seconds, we'll come back, we'll do that again.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have cleanse. Like
Still
you
not on a
about.
cooldown.
Yeah.
Still on cooldown right now.
It's coming up very, very shortly, but Deft will also have another arrow for him that I assure you will be thrown in his direction. Mikhail's is now completed by Gorilla, but that means that, you know, this Bard isn't going to be able to do too much else other than cleanse the rest of his teammates, and he will probably just die basically instantly. Fate with his Banshee is going to come in there looking to try and kill Carrier, but he had a stopwatch already complete, and now Pioshik is looking for the Zoe. Kick back there to buy some space against Chovy, but Pioshik's going to get exhausted. The rest of SANDBOX once again getting surrounded by DRX. Shock Blast does a bit to the Graves, but not enough grit. He's feeling pretty good.
225 armor when he's got it stacked. He's feeling great.
God. Another arrow going to connect, and there's the Mikhail's on cooldown. Let's see whether Deft is going to have 2 arrows now that can get rid of that one as Pioshik moves on over. And on Fleek, no, you don't have a jungle. That belongs to this Graves, whose win rate is skyrocketing exponentially. Wow. Potentially. I mean, it's DRX haven't won just yet. You don't want to count your chickens.
Well, after
However,
this win,
yeah,
it's going to be 4-16 on the win rate for Graves. So we're at 20%. After this one, if of course they can pick up the win. So yeah, we're climbing.
We are getting there. You know, it's a long way back. We've only got, you know, a couple of weeks to go. But we'll see whether Graves can do it alongside some of our players here. Infinity Edge done for Deft. He is extraordinarily strong.
Yeah.
His crit rate through the roof. He's built only damage. He's got an Ardent Sensor there from Carrier to help him out. And you give Deft a Black Shield, and he'll just destroy all of SANDBOX. It's just how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's very true. And at this point, if you're a SANDBOX fan and you're wondering, well, is there any chance? Zoe, from pretty far behind, also building defensively with her items, is not really going to find... I mean, she has no penetration either, up against Mountain Drakes and Mountain Soul. Okay, she's not doing anything. Jace and Lee Sin, their mid-game power spikes, they're kind of, you know, they're not doing much either. They're going to rely on Root, who, again, he's not having the greatest game, but they can't really rely on one player when they're going up against so much scaling on the side of DRX, like literally everybody.
Oh no, he walked back into it! The cleanse is pretty late, as Gorilla didn't have his Mikhail's back off cooldown yet. And now DRX, they're looking to continue sieging forward. No CC cleanse at all, is Tempered Fate going to be flashed by Deft. On Fleet gets the kickback though, and that's a very dead Ash. Beautifully set up there from SANDBOX. Carrier denies the Jace engage with a Dark Binding, but this is going to buy SANDBOX some much needed time.
Yeah, the 80 carries today, somehow they're finding their way into some very precarious situations, even Deft. And you can see DRX, they were just very split off, and SANDBOX with a great call there, just coming together and saying, hey, we can probably pick off this guy. Even though it can feel like all doom and gloom for them with how behind they are. It's definitely a nice pick for them to
cheeky ward.
Grab that one. But yeah, they're still going up against a massive amount of scaling, and it is going to be difficult. So let's see if they can get, you know, 5 or 6 more picks like that and maybe roll it into something.
5 or 6. Well, we'll see. Certainly going to be a tough one, as Deft was very close to not having to flash that, which would have saved him. But he decided to better be safe than
여기
sorry.
각인 것 같은데 지금?
Let's have a look
야,
at
각 보자,
Unfleek.
각 보자, 각 보자.
Let's go, let's go.
더 되냐, 더 되냐? 안 되면 그냥 사이드 관리 하는 게 맞는데 우리 이거 가지고 딱히 더 할 거 없어 보여.
He's like, can we do anything off of this? Doesn't look like we can do much. Let's just, let's fix the side lanes, push out the side lanes, and go from there. So, on Fleek, trying to lead his team.
I like it. You know, it's what they need to do. Try and get lanes in order, try and get as much money as they can. On Fleek, not going to find the Q there onto Chovy. And we're still waiting to wake up just a little bit. As Pioshik moves on in, 30 seconds on the Elder Drake. And, okay. Going to be discovered for the minute. And there's the flash kick. Pioshik trying to quick draw his way out. He's very
So
fast.
tanky.
Oh my god, and the damage that he does as well is ludicrous. Chovy goes in. Emperor's Divide again, going to be a little bit worrisome as he goes golden and will be wiped out. Pioshik is still trying to deal with the enemy jungler and will take him down. So a 1-for-1 in the end. Carrier in trouble though off to the side. Black Shield is going to be put together. There's the flash over the wall by Fate. He picks up another one, but this is a fight on multiple fronts, and DRX is certainly winning the one over here. The volley comes in, slows down somebody's trying to run away with his phase rush, and I believe he'll be able to. Oh my god, just being ran around. DRX.
You see how fast he was with the gate and phase rush and Nimbus Cloak? Oh man. And Yomu's, it's like, oh, it's insanity how fast that Jace can get. Oh man.
Pretty silly.
Yeah. Well,
I think that DRX should be able to do this based on the players that they have left. It was a 2-for-2 in the end. But as far as killing an Elder Drake, this is certainly going to be in DRX's favor, and they do take it down. Summit going to avoid the slow as collateral damage going to buy some space there for Pioshik. Still have some large health bars on SANDBOX's side, but it looks like they're just not willing to get in. Slightly embarrassing, but that's fine. He calculated it and then walked past.
yeah.
Said, you take the damage and go back, you know.
This is a really fed Graves at this point. Imagine getting clawed out into 5 members. Well, it's mostly 4, as Caitlyn wasn't there. Maybe if Caitlyn was available to put down a trap and, you know, actually do some damage, it could have worked out. Chovy gets caught here, looks a little bit silly, and goes down, and it immediately turns into a 4v4. And these fights don't have to be this way. If DRX were fighting straight up, it would be a lot cleaner. But because it's like all over the place, they eventually are able to group up and fight 3v3, which is where DRX will be, of course, very strong. Fate busy killing Carrier, who does a good job, as that's a,
붙을 방법이 없다
it's a
이제.
very fast car that Jace is driving.
나 맞아줄게.
Whoop. Oh. Oh.
That's all I'm saying.
Perfect response. That's exactly what we wanted. As DRX are now going to start off the Baron.
Yeah. So
And,
there's
that's going to be taken. That's going to get them over the 10,000 gold lead mark. There's a cool hat onto Chovy. We'll see whether that came with the ability to land a few more ultimates or not. Storm Razor finally completed by Root. Does have the 3 items that make Caitlyn very strong. Unfortunately, Ashe has 4, and she's just a bit more useful in this game. Also, as somehow that Dark Binding landed, no idea how. Chovy gets over the wall. Summit does still a fair bit of damage. But it's about trying to deal with death, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's getting tough. Sun Disc available. High value there on the input. Accelerated Shock Blast. Wow. How did that happen?
yeah, ace in the hole. Nobody wanted to block for him. Death is like, I'm the VIP of this team. Like,
I was
I'm not
gonna
gonna block for it.
There were like 3 members with full health.
Yeah.
As Pioshik is going to do that in an AoE by the looks of things. Carry is going to go golden with the help of the Tempered Fate. And he's not too worried about it whatsoever. There's a lot of traps here. But DRX looks like they don't care because they're just trying to protect this one siege minion. Now they'll move in, take down this inhibitor turret. The rest of SANDBOX need to be really careful as they're trying to defend this top one. Inhibitor taken. And now, not too many options for SANDBOX. Didn't want to engage. And the rest of DRX was so free to rotate over. And bottom lane, I mean, that's shoving in as well as the arrow just comes out casually. As
like trolling.
I don't know, sometimes you got to do a fadeaway ultimate to say, I got my eye on you.
Yeah.
Eye on you, buddy. All right.
He certainly does. I feel like he's just kind of throwing them out on cooldown.
You may-
Or off cooldown. I mean, it has such a low cooldown, that ability. It's like insane. As our observer is highlighting,
35 seconds.
yeah, I guess total it's about 60 seconds, as the halfway part there is exactly 30.
Yep, QSS done now for death, so no more kick flashes to worry about. Just QSS flash out of the way. And we got a Shirelia's done for Carrier. He's just going to make everyone run real fast. As if they weren't running fast enough, with the phase rush being completed by Pioshik. Already seeing how quickly he goes.
Yeah. This really is an interesting item. We're seeing a lot more of it nowadays, and generally it's like built on both supports, but I feel like it has a lot of value here when you're ahead and you're trying to force fights and get everybody, you know, moving forward when you don't actually have that much hard engage.
The jungler chasing after the top laner here, happy to go 1 versus 2 by the looks. As SANDBOX are just running away from one dude in a trench coat.
Scary guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Mafia Greaves.
I may do the same as Arrow is going to be following Chovy, but it's not going to connect. Chovy was looking for a bit of a scoop, but they're just so far ahead. Yoshik trying to get forward. Remember, no one's really tanky on the side of DRX. As Vanguard's Edge comes in, Tempered Fate avoided by everyone. Deft having that black shield makes him very powerful. Fate trying to poke them back, but you can see 2 inhibitors now taken down. Chovy hunting for another ulti. Doesn't pull the trigger. Doesn't really have to.
Yeah.
Fate gets chunked for so much of his health bar just from one auto attack from Deft's rapid fire cannon. And now DRX continue to push forward. SANDBOX do get to go back to the fountain, get their health back. And that's going to force DRX out. The sustain advantage going to be enough to deter them. There's actually a fair bit of vision here on this bottom side for SANDBOX, as DRX just haven't really been bothered clearing it out. As there's another kick flash, and Koshik just off in the wrong direction. Arrow is going to pierce the heavens, but Summit gets the Mikhails from Gorilla. Will be able to take down the Graves. It's a fair bit of overextension coming out of DRX in this game, but sometimes you just got to have some fun.
Yeah, and OnFleek is there every single time. I mean, they got to be careful about just giving free kills over to the side of SANDBOX. Now, they're really far behind, but they still have a Caitlyn that is going to be a monster in the late game, and we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen before. Like, you just shouldn't be here, you know? Like, what's the point? You don't know where the enemy team is. They could all be there.
I mean, I think he did know that the enemy team was there because they had to walk past all of the minions.
Worse. Yeah, it's even worse.
Oh, man.
And now, all of a sudden, SANDBOX, after picking off the jungler who's still dead for 12 seconds, they're going to try to rush down the Elder. This is why you try to not make mistakes like this.
There's a whole bunch of traps here lining the area as DRX. They're still going to have to try and contest this if they can. Doran going to mitigate a bit of damage, and with the 4 members of DRX that are here, they're going to eat the Tempered Fate for the minute. Yep, that is going to be the Elder Drake secured by SANDBOX. And a successful disengage as well. Actually was thinking that SANDBOX might want to fight there with their newly acquired buff, but they decide to play it safe by the water and go and defend their base. Because with 2 waves of super minions, these Nexus turrets are going to not last very long.
Yeah, and it just buys more and more time for the side of SANDBOX, right? It wasn't looking very good, but you get a kill, you get an Elder Drink, and most importantly, you deny it away from DRX, who could have pushed with Elder and Baron eventually and probably into the game, but you take one of those objectives away, you come back, you buy yourself a good 3-4 minutes, and who knows what's going to happen. As you see Root able to pick up the Bloodthirster now on 4 completed big items, and he's going to start hitting like a truck, so you got to be careful. A cute hat here completed for the Zoe.
Yeah, she's a Void Staff away from doing relevant damage this game. Also, I think as soon as there's a Mortal Reminder, Root needs to be 100% respected in this game. He's going to be doing so much work. And even then, I mean, there's not that much armor. It's just Doran, really, that's going to be in his face, so he does need to try and find something to do against him. Because now it's the wraparound, but Deft is here.
They have Bard.
Yeah, SANDBOX is looking for it, but Deft is holding onto his arrow. Doran eats the Tempered Fate, and there we go. Gorilla taking a lot of damage here from Deft, who is ganking on the Ashe. Immediately, Mikhails comes out, and Summit is just going to be dead. The Hunter became the hunted in SANDBOX at that particular moment. Chovy grabs the kill. The arrow, once again, majestically sails westward and is just going to be encircling Runeterra from now until infinity.
Yeah, another arrow lost here.
Into the ether, indeed.
Yeah, that's a teleport. They want to go for the Baron here. Should be DRX's. I think it probably would have been DRX's even so. You know, maybe SANDBOX could have tried to put up a fight here, but their base could have been in shambles if they let that go. So, either way, I mean, yeah, it's a good pick onto Summit for sure, and a good play by DRX, but now the GA is down on the side of Doran, as Chovy just casually going to take a turret. Nobody was there to defend, so yep, thank you very much, he says.
Split pushing Azir, one of the highest Baron damage champions in the game, decides that he doesn't want to be there. As, yeah, Deft lying in wait. This was all planned. I love it out of DRX.
He's really fast, too. Deft, not a very talkative player.
No.
In general, so he says, yeah, let's try to set it up, and everything else is just, you know, they understand what they have to do from there.
Exactly. He said, we should do this, and then they did it. No more to say. Certainly feels like a CV Max team type idea. As Griffin used to be that hive mind. DRX, not the same thing. As we've got 6 items for Chovy, he goes back and just builds an item, because of course not going to have too many more opportunities to do that. He's going to get sleepy. But not too much more is going to happen as DRX are just moving down this mid lane to try and eradicate the map of as many inhibitors as possible. And, okay, Chovy going to eat that one. Move back onto Pyoshik is golden again. Goes Chovy. I was like, wow, that Tempered Fate lasted a long time. And Zondius is going to come in as well. Vanguard's Edge connects onto so many. The Zoe just eradicated, and Doran into the backline, resetting all over the place, and instantly, that's an ace, and that'll be the game.
Yeah, Doran puts an end to that one. They were a little bit too far away from the turret, and down it goes. GG!
That felt a little bit like